All right. I think I have. I hope I have enough memory left to do one more section. Summertime, part two. Talk of economic disaster at the breakfast table was giving John heartburn, so he resolved to head the conversation into a different direction. He asked, "What lessons are you kids working on today for your schoolwork?" Neil spoke before the rest and said, "I'm working on multiplication and long division. Aunt Ann is teaching me how to figure prices, discounts, making change, and order totals. I like this a lot better than working problems in a book. This is for real." John nodded, then looked at Cindy, Brittany, and Melinda. "What are you three doing?" Cindy spoke up and said, "Mostly economics, Uncle John. We're also working up business plans for potential new businesses. Aunt Ann says if we come up with anything that looks real promising, we might actually try it. We're also going to be working on our Spanish with Mrs. Alvarez. She's starting a group of homeschool kids like us that she'll work with on Saturday market days in conversational Spanish." He affected not to notice her tone and replied, "Why, doing... And what will you be doing at the market today, John?" his wife asked, grinning at him, "besides spending all morning talking with your cronies?" He affected not to notice her tone and replied, "Why, doing business, of course. It's important to keep up with business in one's community. The kids do most of the work at the market. My toiling is mostly done here at home." By 6:30 they had worked their way through their breakfast and hurriedly cleaned up. Anne and Heather would be staying home. Heather wanted to take Latin in the fall and had asked Anne to tutor her in the subject. The rest loaded up into the truck and pulled out, the sun just beginning to peek over the eastern horizon, ready to cope with whatever the day presented. "Hey, John, morning, girls," the vendor at the table next to the home was called out. "Couldn't ask for a better morning, could you? Cool, clear, and dry. Folks out here just waiting to come in here and give us their money. If I had a load of fresh baked goods like you kids do, I'd be doing business hand over fist." John chuckled. Butch Two Crows was one of the talkingest men he'd ever met, but he did a good business in just about everything, it seemed, since his stock in trade ranged from used clothing, tools, and furniture, eggs from his hands, working on old computers, to jackleg horse doctoring. Ed Strickland had once remarked that Butch would sell you your hat if you left it laying on his table. John just couldn't bring himself to imitate Butch's style. He did have to admit, though, that it was effective. He kept the girls amused with what seemed like a perpetual stream of corny jokes, and Neil seemed to admire him without reservation. "Well, after the news last night and this morning, I'm not sure how much of a mood to do business folks will be in, Butch," John said as he and the kids began to set up the table presentation. "Sounds like what's left of the financial structure in the country is collapsing." "Au contraire, O Hen King," Butch came back. "The glorious pipples will be all too eager to do business this day. At least those who are holding cash will be. They can already feel it losing value, and they'll want to trade it as fast as they can for something tangible they can hold in their hands, such as eggs or clothing. I predict we'll have a busy morning. I would not presume to tell you how to do business, but for my part, I will be raising my cash prices 5% to compensate. Tomorrow, I may raise them yet again." With a nod, Don digested what Butch had told him. He respected his opinion on the way the market operated. "Sounds like a good idea, Butch. If sales are slow, we can always lower prices again. Neil, can you figure out a 5% increase in our prices?" "Yes, Uncle John, if you'll check my answers. Aunt Ann has been teaching me how. I can figure the prices and Cindy can make the signs. Her writing is better than mine." The boy looked excited at the prospect of playing an important role in the way his family supported itself. At his age, I would have too, thought John to himself. "Okay, you start your figuring and I'll backstop you. Then Cindy can set to making new signs. Britt, Mel, you two finish getting the table up while I start unloading the goods." The family fell to getting ready to do business, and the market hum began to steadily increase in anticipation of another day of business. They'd be setting up again on Sunday in the afternoon after church. The Sunday market was slower, but oftentimes better deals could be worked, particularly in the end of the day if someone was faced with going home for the week with too little profit. By the time he'd unloaded the last of their goods, Neil came running up with a pad of paper that had the prices for their stock on it, and besides each one the newly increased price. Scanning down the list, he checked each figure in his head, corrected just two, and handed them back to the boy with instructions to give them to Cindy. He quickly did so and returned to help him move their stock up to the tables. Cindy was just setting out the last of the new signs when the big iron fire bell rang out its announcement of the market opening, and the gates swung open. A steady stream of people came in, and true to Butch's predictions, the customers dealing in dollars were eager to buy, and John soon found himself limiting egg sales to a dozen per customer so they wouldn't run out before his regular customers had their opportunity. He was new to business in this way, but he knew that one treated regular customers with care if you wanted to stay in business. All right, there you go. Hopefully it'll all upload. See ya. Bye-bye.